Hi again. I'm going to show you real motherboards where we can see the motherboard components one by one. So we're going to study three kinds of motherboard that you can find usually in the market. Okay, so let's get started. So basically this is the block diagram that we have seen before. So as I told you before, if you understand just one block diagram, you can understand any other block diagram and any other motherboard architecture, because always the motherboard, the laptop motherboard, has the same working principle. Okay, so we're gonna see and study three types of motherboard. As you can see, this is the first, here we have the second, and here we have the third. Basically, these three motherboards are different from each other. So if you focus here, you will see that this motherboard, for example, as you can see, contains 4 chipsets. As you can see, here we have 1, 2, 3, and this is 4. Okay. For this motherboard, as you can see, it contains just 3 chipsets. 1, 2, and 3. And for this one, as you can see, it contains just 2 chipsets. 1, 2. So, as we have seen before, in the block diagram, as you can see, here basically this is the CPU, as you can see. Here we have the NOT bridge or the GMCH, and here we have the ICH. Sometimes you can find that this GMCH is separated. You will find the graphic card and the NOT bridge separated from each other. But here, the graphic card is integrated with the NOT bridge. That's why we call this chipset, as you can see, GMCH, Graphic Memory Control Hub. Okay? And sometimes you can find that also the ICH is integrated with the GMCH. Then we called it the PCH. Okay, so let's see the first motherboard, as you can see over here. So here we have the CPU, as you can see. Near to the CPU, we have the NOT bridge or the MCH. We call it here MCH or Memory Control Hub because the graphic card is separated from the NOT bridge. So the CPU or the processor, the NOT bridge or the MCH, and over here we have the graphic card. Okay, and then here we have the ICH, the Input Output Control Hub. So here in this motherboard, basically we have 4 chipsets, as you can see. Okay, so this motherboard basically is an old motherboard, and of course we have here the RAM, the random access memory. Okay, and here we have the IO, the super IO over here. So here basically this is the clock generator. Okay, the clock generator IC, exactly as we have here in the schematic clock generator. You will find always the clock generator next to the CPU. As you can see, we have the clock generator and we have the CPU, and always near to the clock generator you will find a crystal oscillator. As you can see, we have here Y2. So the crystal oscillator reference is Y or X. So then we have inductors. This is basically CPU channels. For this CPU, we have 2 channels, as you can see. Always you will find inductor, MOSFETs, and ceramic capacitor. Inductor, MOSFETs, and ceramic capacitors. And of course, in the back, we're gonna find MOSFETs. So as you can see here, MOSFETs. This is basically the CPU. So let's move to the next motherboard. As you can see, here basically we have the CPU, and here we have the GMCH, the Graphic Memory Control Hub. So here the graphic card is integrated with the NOT bridge, as you can see. And here we have the ICH. So 3 chipsets, as you can see. 3 chipsets. And of course we have the RAM slots over here. We have here the BIOS, the basic input-output system. So as you can see here, this is the BIOS and this is MOSFETs. Those also are MOSFETs. So always the BIOS size is bigger than MOSFETs. Okay? Here for the processor, as you can see, we have channels. We have 2 channels for the processor. This basically is not for the processor. This is for VCCP, okay, for NOT bridge. Also for all chipsets. Okay, so here we have the first channel, here we have the second channel. So we have two MOSFETs with this inductor and also two MOSFETs with this inductor. Okay, and of course we have other circuits as you can see here. So for the third motherboard, as you can see, this is basically an improved motherboard, as you can see. So here we have just two chipsets, as you can see, two chipsets. So here we have the CPU, and over here we have the graphic card with the NOT bridge. Okay, CPU, graphic card, and NOT bridge in one chipset. And here we have the ICH. Okay, so always you will find the BIOS near to the ICH and to the super input output. So here we have the IO, the super IO, as you can see. Here basically here we have the charge IC, as you can see, or the adapter battery charger. So this is the charge IC circuit where we have the power jack, as you can see, connector, the battery connector, the power switches or MOSFETs. Here as you can see also we have, for this MOSFET basically we have 3 channels, as you can see. 3 channels for this MOSFET. Okay, so always inductor means a channel. So for the ICH, as I told you before, the ICH is the controller for all ports and connectors in the motherboard. So it controls all ports and connectors of the motherboard. Okay, as you can see. Here we have the ICH. It controls all ports and connectors in the motherboard. Besides of super IO, so this one, and the BIOS chip. This
For example, we have the key PC or the keyboard control, as you can see, 1021. So basically this is the control for the keyboard. So let's check first the motherboard to see the reference. As you can see, the same reference as we have seen in the schematic. Okay, so basically this is the keyboard control. You will find this IC always near to the BIOS and to the chipset or the circuit bridge, as you can see. Okay, so the keyboard control 1021. So this basically this IC exists in page 37, as you can see, P37. So if we go to page 37, this is page 37. So let's check the reference. As you can see here, keyboard controller 1021, as you can see. Okay, we have here U27. Okay, this is the reference designator for this IC, U27. So if we go to the motherboard, we should find U27 next to the keyboard controller. Okay, so let's check in the motherboard. As you can see, this is the IC or the keyboard control. Here we have U27, as you can see, exactly the same as we have seen in the schematic.